top of you. So you didn't hear it. And if you didn't say that just now, nobody would have known.
I'm leaving.
So with that, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to 50, starting over on Barry Edwards.
You can't do that, man.
And that's Merle Garrison.
I'm shocked.
Yes, here we are. Beautiful Friday, man. Stoked. Really happy to be doing this right now. And what's weather like over there? It's
hot.
LA. Yeah, hot
muggy.
Day on tap here. Real hot day on tap here. And muggy too. Muggy here as well today. Having a party for my Airbnbers tonight, like a happy hour party. They are leaving tomorrow. They've been here for like 4.5 months or something.
Wow.
And
tomorrow.
Hate to see them go. Really do. And the neighbors across the street absolutely fell in love with them. They're the ones kind of hosting this party. So I'm just going to stop by, have a couple beers, say goodbye. And I want to leave them to themselves to have a nice party. So, but yeah, so I got 2 weeks. I'm going to have to move in there this weekend because I got a frantic 2 weeks ahead of me with a lot of projects to do while I'm working. And I may be doing the podcast from there next week. Not sure. It's going to be frantic because then I got these guys coming in for 6 months, and that's September 1st. But I got to tell you, I feel very fortunate that I got through COVID without having to eat those monthly bills.
Yeah, good for you, man. That's a gigantic accomplishment that we talked about early on.
It's huge. Yeah, so real happy about that. How'd your week go?
Oh, man, it's been a great week. Week.
In what regard?
Oh, lots of progress at work, lots of positive things happening, getting out there in front of customers now and making the business move
for
forward.
Real?
And yeah, for real.
Oh, wearing a mask and stuff or no?
Oh, no. This happens, over video now. So.
Oh, well, I said for real. And today, I guess we mean
for real.
Look,
I was like, they're real customers, Barry.
Well, look what day and age we're in. I say for real, and we assume that virtual is real now. No, but yeah, Zoom's been a blessing for me, as I've said many times. It just has increased my connections with my customers for the better.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the way it has to happen right now, especially in hospitals, because they're the ones on the front lines. I mean, they actually have COVID people coming into their location, so. They're very, very careful about that.
I have not really looked at any COVID news this week. Is there any real news other than, it's huge because it was earlier in the week. Russia is pushing to release their version of a vaccine for this before they've done extensive human trials. So I wouldn't be rushing out to get that vaccine anytime soon.
It seems to be the way it goes in Russia. I mean, this is we live in a country that has priorities and precedents that no other country has, and I think we take that for granted sometimes. I just thank God that we live here in a country that minds these types of things, and human rights are at the top of the priorities. But I haven't seen a lot of. Well, yeah, there has been some news regarding. COVID-19. Joe Biden came out yesterday to say that he would recommend that everyone across the country be mandated to wear masks outside, and that there be big penalties for anybody that doesn't for the next 3 months.
Okay, I know how you feel about that. And as somebody, I try to stay very moderate about these things. That still does anger me. I just don't see that would really do anything.
Well, I think you're in the same boat with about 90% of the people out there.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand. This is part of his campaign now. So COVID-19 is a big part of his campaign, and this
so they're
was
politicizing it more.
Oh,
Jeez.
Absolutely. In fact, what they've done is they've blamed Donald Trump for all of the problems that are happening. He and his new running mate, Kamala Harris, they've blamed Donald Trump and saying that if he would have acted faster, about 50 to 60,000 people would still be alive today. And it's because of his ineptness that the schools have closed down and that business has closed down and that the economy has tanked. And it's because of his actions that have caused that, and his inability. And they've even compared it to the Ebola virus when Obama and Biden were in charge, and said they did their job. Only a couple of people died from that. And this is what good government looks like. But
Wow.
the Ebola virus was not a pandemic.
No, very true. Very true.
And I think that we're in for it this election season. If we thought it was bad
Oh,
leading
it's
up
going
to
to be
this,
bad.
this is going to be an exponential onslaught of, you better get your boots out, because it's going to get deep.
It's for sure. And it's what bothers me the most is just how divided the people are. And, you know, as we talked about last week, there's that woman that left MSNBC and published that long, scathing letter about how mainstream media makes you compromise your principles every single day because they're purposely dividing the country for ratings.
Yes.
Because it
Yes.
works for ratings. And the Trump derangement syndrome thing is real. And that this election, they're going to be feeding that like a frenzy. And I wonder how much of that's going to work, you know, because you're going to hear that for months on end continuously. And there's a thing, like, you just keep repeating the same thing 5 times. Kids do it all the time. And that's supposed to then become your reality. And, you know, I hate being manipulated. I
do too.
Recognize that.
Right? I hate it myself. And, you know, on top of that, this week, the CDC came out with a report that says that more than 1 in 4 young adults seriously considered suicide in the past month. And
wow,
we talked about this, and they're attributing this to the pandemic and the impact of physical distancing and the stay-at-home orders. We talked about how these things that are happening are impacting the young people really disproportionately.
And we don't prepare them.
No, not at all.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Get you right back there. Just, we don't prepare them for hardship. They've been coddled. And so, of course, this is going to happen. I hate to say it so bluntly.
Well, and I look at the fact that, even looking at it biblically, right in the beginning of the Bible, God says it's not good for man to be alone. And here we've isolated people. We've made it so that if you see people out in the street, you don't want to come near them. We look at other people as the enemy almost. We're in a place now that we haven't been before. This is crazy. And you talked about the sensitive nature of where people are. This whole thing with the mail-in ballots and sending this over through the post office, I don't know. I look at it this way. Do you trust the post office to get your mail from one place to another? Would you put $100 bill in an envelope and send it over to me? I wouldn't.
I don't trust anyone. When I voted in 2016, I went to the school, as I always say, I live in Little San Francisco, and I watched them look at my votes, turn it over, look at my votes. I watched them put it in the envelope, and I was just like, I didn't trust them for a minute. I thought they were going to slide it under the table.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting you say that, because if we're having those kinds of problems at the polls, imagine the kinds of problems if all of your ballots are going to some unknown place through the postal service. I don't know if you've ever had anything lost in the mail before, but we've actually had a problem with stuff just not showing up. We don't know how that happens.
I think the postal service is worse than ever. You know,
well, it is. It is. This is the worst that it's been. They're literally billions of dollars in debt. Their whole system is completely jacked up. I've had to deal with them because we've had mail stolen recently, and I've had to go down to the post office and talk to the people. I mean, they're the most disorganized organization on.
They have no accountability.
They don't care. Yeah. They don't care. They don't. Neither do the police, by the way. If you have a problem with this, the police don't care about it either. They've got bigger fish to fry.
Well, what can they do? What can the police do to a post office?
You got a good point there. You got a good point.
Hey, you know, I wanted to talk a bit about, because I've been talking with.
I wanted to make a point. I'm sorry. No. The point is if the election results come out where there's some type of disagreement because of fraud that's happening through, let's say, the post office, boy, the touchy nature of where we are with the parity that's happening right now could set off some pretty scary things. As we look at federal buildings being surrounded and attacked,
Mm,
gosh, I mean, the whole Civil War started with a federal building being surrounded and attacked. It's called Fort Sumter.
mm.
This is we're in a pretty scary time right
Precarious.
now. It
Yeah,
really is a scary situation that's happening.
it is. Don't you think
I
this
hate to
kind of?
be a downer on this, but it is
No, I
reality of what
agree.
we're looking at.
It seems to mirror, we were so young back then, but the riots of, like, was it the late 60s? Had a
Hmm.
lot of racial riots and stuff. And
Hmm.
it was like, it's kind of legendary. And I feel like that's a similar period we're going through right now.
You know
And
what's interesting about? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was going to ask you, and if Trump were to get reelected, because Trump got elected last time, as far as we can tell, is because he's really the anti-politically correct machine that they've been trying to weaponize. And so that would lead me to think that he's probably going to get reelected again based on that, because they doubled down on it
They
yet
really did.
again.
Yes.
So if he does get reelected, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that there would be a civil war, basically, or
I
do you think that they would curl up in a ball and just give up?
I would have to say that there is a form of a civil war happening right now. And just like we had a Cold War with Russia for several years, actually decades, I believe that's what we're having right now. And that a Cold War can easily turn into a hot war. And there is a chance of that. Anne Marie and I used to talk about this, and I'd say, oh, that, of course it's possible, but the chances are so unlikely. But
Sure.
I changed my mind. I think I'm going to say this publicly that she may have been right. So couldn't even say she was right. Okay, she was right. It could definitely happen. But look, what if Trump isn't elected? What if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get in? Does that make things better?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that a question was posed on Quora, of course, and said, well, if Biden wins, are the left going to riot? The right is the right going to riot and
No.
cause all this commotion? And I had to respond to that. Said no, all these riots are totally a far left thing.
Right,
I don't even want to say a left thing, a far left thing. And no, if Biden wins, I just think the Republicans would just get back to work.
However, I see this, that it seems to me that there is no satisfying the far left. Even when Obama was the president, they were not happy with Obama. They wanted him to go way further into extremes than he was willing to even consider. And that's why we had things like Occupy Wall Street during the Obama administration. And I see also the riots that we had in Baltimore. Now think about that. In Baltimore, during the Obama administration, you had a black chief of police, you had a black mayor, you had a black district attorney. You had most of the people on the police force were black. Even the police that arrested Freddie Gray, half of them were black. You had a black-run city, a black-run organization, and yet they were rioting and saying that it was because of white oppression that these people were rioting and looting. So if you get Joe Biden in, I don't see these people being appeased or being happy by anything that he does. And
Agreed.
the other thing is that the more these people press, that's the guy that's going to capitulate to their demands already. This whole thing, he's not even the president, but saying that we have to wear masks outside for the next 3 months, there's no scientific evidence to back this up. And we'll talk about oppression, and think about it. If he becomes the president, that becomes an executive order.
Yeah, and further, like these mayors, Portland, Seattle, they try to align with this left movement only to get basically shit on by them as well. And I mean, that was a rude awakening for these guys.
I wonder why they didn't expect that. I mean, how idiotic is that
How
not
out
to
of
expect
touch?
this?
How out of touch are they? Where they think that they're starting. And I swear to God, I posed the question on Quora too. How do they think that burning down their own cities are going to and then somehow turn this around and make it Trump's fault? I hate trying to defend Trump, and I'm not defending Trump.
You're not.
What I'm saying is this left movement, this manipulative movement. I don't know how their constituents can buy into this.
Well, they
I
must.
just don't know.
It's got to be a blind hatred in order to buy into something. I mean,
Burn down your own
like
town. This is
this.
awesome. Yeah.
I agree. And I don't think, look, there's studies out there right now, polls out there that are saying things like 8 out of 10 Black citizens do not agree with defund the police. They actually want more police.
Wow.
So what we're seeing, and we've talked about this before, are the outliers. They're the ones that are talking right now. I mean, you just look at just last night, and I think this was last night, but Seattle mob goes through neighborhoods threatening residents. This is happening now. I saw this happening in DC and Portland, where these mobs now are going into the neighborhoods in the middle of the night with bullhorns, and they're standing outside of people's houses, telling them to wake up in rude language, accusing them of stealing the land of Black people, and that they need to give their houses to the Black people that they've stolen from. You know, this whole thing of gentrification. And this is completely out of hand. You don't see any police controlling this situation whatsoever. It's completely out of hand. Oh, speaking of that, you talked about Portland. There were several people that were arrested in Portland during these riots that they've had over the last several weeks. And really, the arrests just started recently.
Yeah.
All of them got let go.
Yeah, I heard about
no
that.
charges.
No,
there were no charges. So what does that mean? We saw what happened in Chicago this past week, where all these people broke into the Miracle Mile. Have you been to the Miracle Mile? It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's just beautiful. I love that area. They destroyed it. They drove cars through windows, shopping windows, and they took things. And the organizers of the protests the next day said this was a form of reparations, and that these people now that did the stealing, that now they have clothes that they can wear. And that it didn't matter because the people that owned these stores had insurance. What kind of thinking is that?
I don't know. Our world has gone completely mad. You know what, though? I wanted to talk about something on a positive side here.
Okay.
And because I got a couple clients that are consultants. One of the things I specialize in, people opening their own consultancy, going into business for themselves. And of course, it's a challenging time during COVID. And I said last week, I'm having quite a hard time with my dentist, getting her to get the more elective type of procedures, people in for that. As you could probably surmise, I'm not rushing to the dentist to get my teeth whitened or anything during COVID, you know, and which I've never done that, by the way. But so I said, hey, well, we got to take a look at, during anything, as bleak as some things may seem, when things occur, there's always opportunity. So when one door closes, another door opens. And so I said, well, we got to just take a look at industries that actually have been thriving because of COVID. And so I just this morning finally Googled that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is. So I did this from the vantage point of my electrical safety guy. He goes into corporations, he goes into industries and trains them in electric safety so that people don't get shocked and killed using machinery and things like that. And they got to be OSHA compliant.
It's a good thing.
Again, coming back to America, why our country's so great is that we take very serious measures along these lines, so people aren't, coronaviruses aren't escaping our labs and things like that. Just to put a little punch.
That was good. I like that.
And then I have my lean consultant too. So, he of course is having trouble with finding people that are thriving in this environment too. So, in all of these regards, in any regard, it is still a climate where you should be in, this too, Merle. I think you said it a couple of weeks ago. You should really concentrate on building your relationships with your clients right now, helping them out as much as you can. This will not last forever. I think we're going to be on the other side of it soon, but so we got to get our feet planted. But for right now, I did want to just mention some of the industries that I found that are thriving. E-commerce retailers, as you can imagine, Amazon has got to be going through the roof. I know Lisa and I order so much online, but every other place is too. Industrial real estate. I didn't think about that. I do have a client that just sold some land.
What are you talking about here?
Okay, it says, I did not read the paragraph. I'll read it now. Typically, when we think about an e-commerce distribution facility, we calculate that they require about 3 times that of a typical business-to-business facility to accommodate more complex pick-pack systems and provide access to a greater variety of product. With an interest in bringing some industries back to the United States for better control in times of disruption, looking at you, China, as well as a new trend of increasing safety stock, demand for industrial space will likely grow. This makes sense as it's explained like that.
That is, I get sentence. That. And go ahead.
Following on the growth of e-commerce, new retailers will develop strictly online marketplaces and have management either working from the distribution facility and or from home. It does make sense to me.
It does. And at the same time, I'm seeing so many industrial facilities that are completely vacant right now. And I was driving by a bunch of these and I'm thinking there's got to be some type of opportunity around this, because look at all this space. It's just sitting there. And especially out here, the rent for that has got to be astronomical. They're just throwing money away. I wonder if this is an answer to that.
Well, I know this is, as this does take place, these are natural clients for both my electrical safety guy and my lean training guy. So that's something to look forward to.
Wow. Yeah.
Got a whole bunch here. Augmented reality. I guess you would it's the ability to see and touch goods prior to purchasing.
It sounds like the weed dealers out here, augmented reality.
Well, I first thought like VR. I thought entertainment.
Virtual reality.
They're saying this is true. Like, I will not buy clothes from Amazon. I need to see how something fits. I'm not going to buy a pair of pants without trying them on, something like that, or shoes. Well, it seems like it will fill a little bit of a void. So that's basically what it's talking about. It's going hand in hand with e-commerce again, enable you to get a sense of the feel of a product.
That's interesting. Okay.
Next, robotics. Robotics, of course, we're trying to automate everything.
That's scary.
Oh man, I got so much to talk about as far as automation goes that just worries me as far as keeping jobs, so having enough jobs for people. Next, 5G and the growth of bandwidth requirements. Of course, man, I imagine we're eating up so much bandwidth now with COVID that it's ridiculous. Virtual meetings.
I agree.
Yeah, virtual meetings, Zoom, Microsoft, Google, Apple, everybody is rushing to do the better virtual meeting software. Online groceries and last mile distribution centers. That has gotten huge. I don't think that people have been able to keep up with that because of COVID. I know a lot of seniors that are friends of mine that have not gone to a grocery store during this time.
I know people that aren't seniors that have not gone to a grocery store.
Yeah, I've known of people that say they get their groceries delivered and leave them out in the vestibule for 24 hours. So,
don't leave your milk out there for 24 hours.
I would imagine that they do not they at least have the refrigerated stuff separate. And along these lines, next, freezer and cooler supply chain. Wow.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Lisa and I are always like, we need another refrigerator. It's only us
yeah.
two. But when she gets back from shopping, she jam packs that thing. She buys so much produce. Next, dark kitchens. They are virtual restaurants without tables. This sounds like the to-go industry.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Yeah.
yeah, did I mention to you last week that we got our favorite local chef out here? He shut down his restaurants and just opened up a catering business, like boom, like that. And Lisa just had him ordered some food from
Oh,
his catering restaurant,
yeah.
and he delivered it here himself. Like, he's doing everything himself, which is amazing.
Wow.
He's such a huge successful guy. I think I told you, I don't think this guy can sit still. I'm sure he could be collecting tons of money from unemployment PPP loans, and he chooses to just pivot his business and work.
So when he delivers the food, it's all prepared, it's
Yes.
cooked. You could
And
just basically put it on the
gourmet.
table at that point.
Absolutely. And
Oh boy,
absolutely
that's nice.
gourmet delicious. Yeah.
Ah,
So he's an amazing guy. I wish all of us could find our passion, our career passion, the way he has. He just went
mhm.
right into it. I mean, this dude loves what he does, and he's always
That's
super happy.
that's
Um,
great.
Next, reverse globalization. I read this earlier and I'm still not sure if I understand it. And when I read this to you, you tell me what it means.
Okay, all right. Try
Va-
me.
yeah, vast socioeconomic trends had started to reverse globalization as companies sought supply chain resiliency by moving manufacturing closer to the consumer and creating redundancy in manufacturing and distribution operations. Last sentence. That trend will race as leaders ensure that their organizations will never be caught off guard like this again. Oh, you know what?
Oh, I
We
guess
kind
I
of,
get that.
this
Yeah,
time I get it.
yeah.
It refers to what we just mentioned a few
Yes, exactly. Right.
about
We're
bringing stuff
bringing
back.
we you singled out China on that whole thing.
Hmm.
Right, right. And thank
And
God. Thank God
yeah,
that's
well,
happening.
they own our
There was a
pharmaceutical
wake up
industry.
call, right? Yeah, exactly. And
Mm.
not just the pharmaceuticals. That's just the one that impacts everybody so immediately. But
Hmm.
so much stuff that we gave away, and
Yeah.
now we gave them control, and it all came to light during the pandemic. So this is one good thing that's coming out of this.
Yeah. Okay. Final two on this article, but I got another five that are more like local, more like individually based.
Okay.
Okay. Supply chain resilience. This again sounds like it ties in. As discussed earlier, there would be a renewed interest in reshoring product to the United States and moreover North America. Supply chains
Right.
have been outsourced to Asia in the fields of medical, pharmaceuticals, and critical componentry.
Yes. And
They see government.
hospitals were
Mhm.
totally affected by that, especially
Oh
with
yeah.
PPE.
I've been trying to buy rubbing alcohol.
Yeah,
No
you can't
stores
find
have
it
it.
out
It's
here too.
it's a staple that I always use on my face and my oily parts of my face around my nose and
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, you can't get it. And I talked to a guy at a store and he's like, no, we can't even get it shipped. He goes, it's
No.
being reserved for the hospitals. Well, Merle, there hasn't been as we've talked about many times, a big rush to the hospitals that was feared. That stuff was almost free, you know?
It
It was
was.
the
You're
cheapest
right.
stuff in the world. I, how are they hoarding it all? How can they not make enough rubbing alcohol?
I have no answer
I
to
don't
that
get it
question.
either. And I
Yeah.
looked it
Yeah.
up on Amazon. People are selling that stuff for no less than like $12 a bottle. That was
Wow.
previously 99
99
cents.
cents. Exactly.
Hmm. Hey, last one on this e-learning. And this, I've been talking with my Airbnbers about it because they've been homeschooling their kid,
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
course. And they've found some amazing things online to assist with that. They said it's better than going to school. And
I bet.
think about that. Now, I also heard, I bring them up every freaking podcast, but Jordan Peterson was talking about how learning is going more and more online. And geez, I know I'm very self-taught in nearly everything. There's a YouTube video for everything, And so I learn a lot that way. But as he was saying, if if you can get your college class online from a Jordan Peterson. He recorded it. Now it's being shown for years and years over. Okay, so you have a choice between Jordan Peterson or Joe Schmo at your local college. Who do you want to get taught philosophy by? Well,
Yeah.
here's the downside of that. So now you got about 300 of your top teachers online in an online college. That displaces everybody in every learning institution. Think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation that's going on. And one thing that we're seeing as well is that the older students seem to be doing okay with this type of e-learning, but
Yeah.
the younger students, up to fourth grade, they are struggling.
They
with
need
this.
socialization. They really do.
They do. They have a hard time sitting down and concentrating on what's happening on the computer. It's been very challenging for parents, and I also see some pretty unique solutions for that are happening out there. I talked to one of my coworkers, and she actually has a friend of hers that's got a facility at her property, and she's a stay-at-home mom, so she's having several of the neighborhood kids come over. This place is all packed out with great Wi-Fi and everything, and she's sort of running a virtual classroom there for the neighborhood.
Oh,
and I think what we're seeing is a lot of thinking outside the box and ways of dealing with this whole thing, that once things start to hopefully come back to normal, I think people are going to have more choices than they had before.
Agreed.
And I think when we're seeing our school systems are really
failing.
They were before this, but now they seem to be doubling down on really this very left way of thinking, where they're indoctrinating the children into a very socialist type of a mindset. I think this has exposed that. There were articles that came out this week where teachers were saying that they feared the whole online school because now parents could see exactly what the teachers were actually teaching the students, and especially when it came to racism and xenophobia and transgender relationships and things like that. They said, we had a motto that what happens in the classroom stays in the classroom.
Whoa.
Well, this is all been exposed. And now parents are realizing this is happening to their children, and that maybe this whole pandemic and school closing is a blessing in disguise, because they can look for alternatives. And I really believe that homeschooling is going to go through the roof here the next year.
And I think it should, for reasons discussed. But there are things. There's like I remember listening to a podcast a little while ago. I don't remember where, because I listened to a lot of them. But this guy, super successful guy, but he said super smart guy, but he said he has this kind of like, maybe it's ADD, call it what you want, but he can't sit still. He discovered this about himself early on. And when he finally decided that he would take his own education in 1 hour increments, he would have to get up. He could only sit still for like 1 hour at a time. Well, then he started really excelling. And like I said, so he just keeps opening up different companies and stuff, but he found what works for him. And with these kids, expecting a kid to sit still for 6 hours while they're trying to learn something is ridiculous. It's not a realistic expectation. So we could take a little bit from what I just said, the story I just said, have them do a half hour at a time and then engage them with some kind of a game. And we haven't seen our best educational system yet, but it's on its way. It's evolving. And
that's very interesting what you're saying. And also, boys and girls are very different, and they learn differently as well. I had this picture in my head.
You just pissed off some people right there with that comment.
Yeah, well, it's real. Get over it. And I could just see people. I got this funny picture in my head of a classroom with all these treadmills with kids, with boys on there having to keep up, and the teacher's got control of the speed.
Well, kids need engagement, and gamifying learning activities, I think, is a smart way to go. In fact, I think that's what my my renters were talking about when they said this amazing online math course. I
How
think
old are
they,
their kids?
pardon? What?
Their children, how old are they?
He's got one 10-year-old. They have
Oh,
one 10-year-old boy.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
they said that it's a math course. Said it's
Mhm.
absolutely stunning how engaging it is. And
Really?
they learned a lot as well. It was fun.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool. Boy, I
Uh,
remember being that age and that being my worst class.
Same here. As a matter of fact, in college, my first semester, like many people's first semester, I was not into it, and I failed introduction to math. And I found that I could, if I took 5 philosophies, I could dodge all math courses at college.
Yes. That's what I did too.
Did you?
I
I love
didn't fail,
philosophy.
but I took the algebra class that I had to take, and I
Brutal.
got through that. I think I got a C on that, but I didn't. That was it. That was the last math class I ever had to take. I was so happy.
We also had that freshman forgiveness policy because so many kids come from high school, go to college their first semester and just screw something away because you get into you're on your own for the first time ever.
Right.
And
boy, that was a crazy time, wasn't it?
College, and you know what?
That first year. That was
for sure.
craziest.
But it was our second year that you and I met. And
right.
It was a whole lot more fun for me after that.
For me too.
But see, everything that we're talking about right there flies in the face of the online hybrid or
really
whatever
does,
is
right?
going to happen.
Yeah.
So
because it's the relationships that mean so much. And one other thing too is in the face of college football and how all of these seasons are being crushed by the decision to remain safe. Boy, I look back on my time. I didn't play any college sports, but I played in high school, and I learned so much on the in sports, on the battlefield, about myself,
discipline,
discipline,
how to push yourself,
and also playing on
teamwork.
a team, being with other people, and working with other people, working through adversities, whether
winning.
it was relationships or how to come up with a mutual strategy and being able to win. These are classic skills that you need to catapult your career in any way. I rely on those things that I learned back then, even today. And I can't even remember what I learned in many of my classes.
Very true, man. And the learning how to win and learning how to lose, that's so important.
Boy, they're equally as important, aren't they?
They really are. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I learned more during the losses than I did during the victories.
We talk about that. We've talked about it many times, the power of failure. And who was that wouldn't work with anybody that hadn't failed at least 3 times? Famous businessman.
Yeah. I don't know who's any famous businessman probably said that.
Yeah, for sure. Learn way more from failure. But somebody that has failed multiple times and you still see them as a success, they learn how to pick themselves up. That's the vital part. Yes. You know, it's easy to get kicked in the teeth and stay down, you know?
It sure is. It sure is. And that's the problem that I feel, and you brought it up earlier, that the young people today are not learning that, because once they get kicked or bullied,
they cry.
You poor thing. We've got to, do it for you.
Hey, so I just want to go on to this next one. There's about 5 different other suggestions of industries that are booming, and this is on a smaller scale. I think you'll find it interesting. Gifts and occasions. And this reminds me of, I have a colleague that sells cookies. Her business is called Wow Cookies. And so you could buy them online. Lisa gets cookies from her all the time. Now they're damn expensive, but they're the best ones, swear to God, that you'll ever have in your life.
Really?
In brownies. And so she has these business packages and stuff. So it's very effective for schmoozing a client or something with these things. But Lisa sends them like to her mother and stuff like that. And she couldn't be more thankful when she receives that kind of stuff. So gifts and occasions, that's let's see. Cool. The gift sector on Mother's Day increased by 122%. So
Over
yeah,
the last Mother's Day, is that what it's talking
I
about?
haven't read this and it's a little lengthy. So now this year, Mother's Day coincided with the newly introduced instructions on social distancing and self-isolation. As a result, consumers were forced to rethink how they treated mom to something special. Instead of Sunday lunches at the pub, people are getting flower
Ah,
bouquets and
yeah.
stuff like
So it sounds
that.
like the
So
difference between last year and the year before,
yeah,
or
for
this year and the year
sure.
before.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you can see how that's booming. That's good news for people that have been thinking about going out on their own and doing something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Maybe
big time.
now. So, and especially so many people are struggling right now, government can't take care of us forever as much as some of us would like.
Well, these are also investment opportunities as well.
That's a really good point. So not too distantly related, home and garden.
Hmm.
So, yeah, man, everybody's been doing a lot of lawn work around here, landscaping and stuff like that. Let's see, order volumes for brands in this sector have increased 55% year on year. Um, Referrals have increased 83%. So that is kind of interesting. Next up, and I know this is a big one, I know it, health and fitness. So if you nutritionists are making it big.
Hmm.
So you do your own consultancy business. I mean, a lot of people going online, and yeah, you know me. As soon as the gym shut down, I immediately found that a YouTube,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, of this
You did
company.
good with that.
Yeah, I really did. I really enjoyed that. I think I'll be doing that a bit come winter, when I'm not riding
Yeah.
my bike all the time.
And your gym is still open?
It is, and I go
Oh,
there
that's
almost
nice.
every weekday, and
Wow.
so
Yeah.
I ride my bike there. That's my cardio.
That's
Uh,
great. That
so
is
then,
great.
yeah, because in the winter, man, I hate going in
No.
there and feeling like I gotta go on a hamster wheel for 15 or 20
Yeah.
minutes. I
Riding your
hate
bike in the
that.
winter in your area doesn't work.
Not for. I did buy my winter garb a couple years ago,
Yeah.
but I'm still like, it's got to be over 50 degrees for me to go out there.
Yeah. It's no
It's not
fun.
enjoyable. No,
No,
it's not.
it's not.
So yeah, nutrition too. And I mentioned before I'd have to get certified, but I would love to. In some of my dreams, I kind of would love to segue into a health, fitness, and nutrition guy for people over 50, and
Yeah.
especially as you get to
Definitely
60 and
a
stuff.
need there.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure, because
Well,
it's
and
really
especially
different.
right now, because I mean, so many people are struggling with this whole stay-at-home thing, and and
Hmm.
and and hard to stay motivated. The whole isolation thing really is it puts a cramp in everybody's style.
Hmm.
And when you're at home and you're not, it takes your motivation away from doing the physical things that you need to do.
Yeah.
There's a big need, Barry.
Right.
Get out
No.
there, man. Make it
Yeah,
happen.
and it's hopefully this is inspiring to some people. I got a final two, and so the second to the last one is food and drink. We predict food and drink brands facing the biggest demand over the next coming months. Food
Hmm.
remains one of the few pleasures we can still enjoy. Very true. What did I
Yeah,
just say about
that's
our
the
local?
dangerous part too.
But our local chef who pivoted
Right,
and
right,
started doing this catering,
right.
and he's got to be doing very well. I'm
Yeah,
sure he is.
yeah.
So, and then there's drink, with people at the pub replaced by virtual get-togethers via apps like House Party. Never heard of that.
Me neither.
Right. What I was thinking just this morning, I was in the shower thinking about what we're going to talk about. I was thinking about the online learning
Yeah.
that we were talking about before. I wondered, it's first time I thought about this, but people that are single, young and single, or divorced and single, how are they dating? I know everybody is doing Tinder and these different dating apps. How has that been
Yeah.
going for the past almost a year?
That's a good question. And here's the other thing I
I
was
don't know
thinking
the
about
answer.
too is that, for young people, you go out and basically you go into a facility, at least out here, everyone's wearing masks. Um, how do you, if you're single and you see somebody, but they're wearing a mask, does
Yeah.
that, how, I mean, there's you don't get to see half the person's face, and so there's
You
sort
fall
of a
for 'em.
mystery right there. Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
you make
turns
you
out-
get yourself into a proposition. Then she takes
Right.
off her mask and she's got these gnarly teeth.
I was gonna say teeth are important, and you can't really see their teeth, and
Right.
their chin. It goes both ways.
Hair's coming up.
There's a big surprise.
Right.
This is the real way.
Like that Seinfeld episode where that girl it was so
Two-Face.
clever. She would look different and different, like horrible in different lighting.
She's a two-face.
Yeah. So I wondered about the online dating. Like, are those apps, like, are they hurting really bad? I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, what a terrible time to be a single person.
Yeah, you could get so lonely. I don't know.
Well,
maybe
I
they're
think
doing
it goes
all
back
virtually.
to that 1 in 4 young people. That was between 18 and 24. The CDC reporting on the suicide thing. I mean, this is a tough time for the young people out there. Not to mention
really is.
everybody else, but I think especially them.
Yeah,
this is really a challenge.
This subject matter makes me think of a very funny story. A few years ago, probably about 4 years ago, I remember. Okay, so Lisa's always had this thing where she would always say, "I don't snoop in my boyfriend's stuff because if I felt I had to do that, I would get out of there before I did that." Very self-righteous kind of thing. And don't tell her I said this or told this story. And so one day I left my phone in the bathroom. And I was looking for it later. It's like, oh, there it is. Gotcha. And Lisa was running around acting very strange all day. It was a Saturday or something. And finally, she stops me. And I should practice how I tell this story because it's really funny if I could tell it right. And it's probably going to be goofy if I don't. But this was during the time about 4 years ago. I've talked about .coms, .nets, these different, internet domain extensions. And this was a time when about 30 of these new ones came out, .science, .play, you name it, it came out. Well, spammers are like, holy crap, this is the best. So because people don't have filters for these things yet. So I was getting spammed with everything under the sun for the short period of time. Just so happens this was a time when she found my phone and it was on, not locked or anything. So she comes up to me later in the day. She's acting weird all day and she's tears in her eyes. She goes, I gotta talk to you. And I'm like, oh, honey, what's wrong? What is it? And she goes, I got to admit, I found your phone and I went through your email and I saw that you had an email from Russian brides online.
Oh my gosh.
And I started busting up so hard because I had the realization that she just got caught in a trap of her own making. So I'm getting spammed. Now, she didn't say anything weird about buy a pet online, buy a horse, buy a donkey, all this. I'm getting crazy spam like you would not believe during this time. But she finds Russian bride. Now, if it was, what is that, Dolly Madison?
Oh, yeah.
Ashley Madison. If it were Ashley Madison, I could see the suspicion. But Russian brides online? It's like, yeah, honey, this is Olga. She's going to stay with us for a while.
She's
just a friend. Yeah, she's just a friend. Don't worry about it. So anyways, I laughed so hard about that. And the funny thing was like, she still got tears in her eyes. I like doubled over laughing because I immediately saw what was going on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't snoop in your boyfriend or husband's phone. You don't know what you're going to find and build it into something.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't have anything on my computer or phone that she would ever could misconstrue for real.
Yes.
I don't need
I'm
that.
an open book.
I went out to lunch with a client yesterday and I literally said, because we're talking about somebody that cheats on their wife. And it's like, God, how could you have two women in your life? For one's not enough of a challenge on a daily basis.
Right, Jeez. Right. Talk about a way to age quickly.
Yeah, to say the least. And I would hate to have to keep up with lies. Oh God, I'm a horrible liar.
Me too.
I'd just rather not deal with that.
Yeah, it's too hard.
It is. So we were talking, okay, I got the last one of these things. And you're never going to guess, but I guess it makes sense. Beauty, the beauty industry. Our appearance may not be our biggest concern right now, that's
Hmm.
for sure. But for some consumers, the sudden abundance of free time coupled with anxiety presents the perfect time to practice self-care. So it's, this is
Huh,
largely
I never
related
would
to,
have guessed this.
but like the health and fitness. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. As they say it, I'm like, oh, I can see what they're saying.
Hmm.
On average, sales for beauty skincare brands have increased by 37% year on year. Referrals have increased by 64%. This is likely heightened by the abundance of makeup and skincare tutorials available on social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok, which, boy, is there a lot of movement to get TikTok out of here. And
Yeah.
so that's it. That's all for all that
Well,
stuff.
then I changed my mind on that whole unmasking thing. When people take their masks off, they've been using all this
Yeah.
moisturizer and everything. It's
All
just
right.
like, oh.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe the online dating industry is actually bustling as we
Yeah,
put all this together.
maybe because they don't have any place else to go to date. So maybe there's another investment opportunity.
All right, so we spent a lot of time on that. It's good stuff, though. I think it's really good stuff, but
I
we
think so,
haven't
too.
really talked a lot. We kind of went all over the place, and we're almost at an hour already. So current
I know,
events,
crazy.
I personally, for once, I don't have a lot that I wanted to bring up myself, but I'm sure you do.
I always do. And
Yes.
but I mean, hey, the big thing was the Joe Biden pick of Kamala Harris. And I wanted to
Very
say
unlikable.
to you, I wanted to say, you're the one last week. You said that it looked like she was the one that was going to be chosen. And, a lot of people weren't saying that. So
look what a box they put themselves in. It had to be a black woman. Who would you pick?
And there were several people that they were looking at.
Was it going to be Candace Owens?
No, it wasn't. But
Right.
I know that he was looking at several people. Susan Rice was one of the people they were looking at.
Early on, she was talked about a lot.
There was that congresswoman that was up there as well. There was the mayor of Atlanta he was looking at. There were a lot of people, but I thought Kamala Harris, I mean, she got less than 2% in the primaries. She actually had said early on that she believed the accusers of Joe Biden who had accused him of sexually assaulting them. She said she believed those women. She actually had said in the primaries that she didn't believe Joe Biden was a bigot, but he had lined up with segregationalists and had been against desegregating the school systems, making him out to be a bigot. I thought, really? Joe Biden's going to pick this person to be his running mate?
Do you think he picked her? I think he was told. I don't think he's made many decisions in his life, to tell you the truth. Don't you think that he was pretty much said, Joe, we think, Kamala is your person?
I think that indeed that has to be happening, because it seems like anytime he says something on his own, it's terrible. I mean, it does not go anywhere.
It backfires badly.
I think when he makes these speeches, that the speeches are completely written for him. He's not saying anything that he's actually written. I think that when you see something in writing from him, he's not the one that's actually writing it. But I mean, Kamala Harris was so unpopular as a presidential candidate. It makes me think, and you said this several times, Barry, whoever Joe Biden picks is basically going to be the president.
Yes.
I think everybody knows that. So why would the people that are telling Joe Biden what to do pick Kamala Harris?
I think she's just because she's got the biggest name recognition. Out of the black women, again, they put themselves in such a tiny box there. He had to go with a black woman. So she's got the most name recognition.
But you would think it would be somebody that was more popular than her.
Yeah, we've said this before, she's so inauthentic. And they keep replaying her only famous moment of the of the presidential debates. And it was that I knew a girl that took the bus to school, you know that, and then she cracks her voice at just the right moment there. Like you could
Yes.
see her rehearsing that in the mirror like 50 times. And it comes off that way too. It's
It does.
cringy to me. Lisa asked me, "Hey, did you watch her acceptance speech?" No, I shut the. I watch stuff on my laptop. I shut my laptop off at that time. I can't stand listening. She's Hillary all over again to me. Inauthentic
She's
and power
extremely
hungry.
inauthentic.
Power hungry.
Yes, yes. And she comes off as being a person that would do anything in
Mm,
order to be sitting in the seat as
mm-hmm,
president.
mm-hmm.
Now that brings up my point, which is after you've seen her, if I'm Joe Biden, you've seen her go after you in terrible underhanded ways. You're a bigot, you're a
Mm,
misogynist,
mm-hmm.
he's seen
That's a
her
leftist playbook, though.
say whatever she needs to say in order to get power. How can he trust her? How can he trust her to be his running mate? I mean, okay, let's say they get elected. Well, she wants to be the president. I'd be having like food tasters.
I know, man. I'm serious. She's super power hungry. You could see that. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I said from the beginning, come on, Dems, you had 4 years to put together a solid
This
package
is it.
here, and this is
Yeah.
what you come up with.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
It's gonna
pretty
be
pretty
it's
crazy.
gonna be an ugly
Pretty
election cycle.
pretty crazy. Yeah, I think so. And already they've come out swinging with some pretty dirty kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I don't see the Trump campaign being any ball of sunlight either. It seems to me
No,
that this is going to be a slugfest. It's going to be in the mud.
it's gonna be in the mud.
I am looking forward to the debates. I think that's going to be
I'm dreading
illuminating.
them. I'm dreading
You're
them.
dreading them.
I will watch. I will certainly watch, but I'll be watching like nervously because for one, I find Trump to be so embarrassing and the childishness of the nicknames and all of that. But I still don't think they're going to bode very well against him. They're just going to do the whole leftist playbook, which you just brought up is you're a misogynist, you're a racist. It doesn't work with him. He doesn't even care about that. He just will say whatever he wants to say regardless. It's water off a duck's back to him.
Yeah, and I don't know that I mean, the people that are, think that he's a misogynist and a racist, there's no way they're ever going to come around and, oh, no, he's not a misogynist or a racist anymore. So, I
Right.
mean, those people have already been convinced. I don't know that the people that don't believe that are going to suddenly be convinced that he's a racist or misogynist either. I think that that ticket has already been played.
Yeah.
So
We
what else do you have?
we talk about it all the time. We just had a 2-term black president, and now they're all trying to tell us that everybody in America is racist. It's ridiculous.
I agree.
We're the least racist country in the world, and you have all the opportunity. We say this all the time. The American dream is available to you. You just got to work for it. Well, right now you have to work for it, and that they're offended by that.
I know it's it's a crazy world that we live in. Hey, just shifting gears a little bit here. How about, did you see where the soccer team, the Dallas Major League Soccer team, was kneeling down to the national anthem this week, and the
No.
fans were booing the team?
Wow. Really? Great.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And then what ended up happening is that the team was completely offended. And I've got this interview that I saw where I don't know the guy's name, but he was saying that he thinks it's, let's see, Reggie Cannon. Pardon me. He says, I think it was absolutely disgusting. You've got fans booing you for people taking a stand for what they believe in. He says, we've got fans booing us in our own stadium. How disgraceful is that? We asked for no anthem because we don't feel it was right for the anthem to be played at this moment, and they ignored our wishes. So we're going to kneel regardless if the anthem was played or not.
Mm.
So this guy on the team is angry because the fans were booing, and he's calling them disgusting and disgraceful. And I just got to say, if you're a professional athlete and the fans en masse don't like what you're doing and you call them disgraceful and disgusting, I mean, isn't that your product? Aren't they your customer? Can you imagine if I had a product that I was selling you and I did something that offended you and I called you disgusting and disgraceful? Are you going to buy my product?
I do, but here's what I hate about this is that they are, what I mean by they is the commissioners of these leagues are putting these very young people into a position where they have to pick a side. They have to. They don't have a choice. And so they're going to go with the most popular side, most of them. And you know how these young people are anyway. Most people are more liberal when they're younger, and they get more conservative as they accumulate any degree of wealth, because they want to protect it. And so I said this before, a buddy of mine enlightened me to this. I absolutely believe politics should be taken out of our entertainment completely, especially sports. It's a time to get away from it and come together and have fun. And,
I agree.
And so they should keep the teams in the locker room until after the anthem and then bring them out.
I think that it's too bad that has to be a solution, because it seems to me that the one thing that we can all agree on is the national anthem. It's too bad that we can't. I'm just going to read the one last thing here that the coach said. He said, I'm sorry for our fans because we had somebody chanting USA when they don't understand what kneeling means. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Take it out. Take it out of the game. I cannot stand.
I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that we have to take the national anthem out in order to solve this.
We're dealing with children here, man. You got to take the toys away. If you
and
can't
that's
play
what I'm
nice,
saying
you take it away.
This is what's so sad, though, Barry, is that children, you're right. You're exactly right. There's no discipline any longer. And the coaches themselves, who should be the ones that are mentoring these young people into discipline, are actually saying what I just read. They're apologizing for the fans.
And I saw Frank Cohn, the Indians manager, do exactly that. And he was pandering to the left. And I know for a fact, he's an old Italian guy. He's getting behind the camera. He's going home, having a drink, and he is just bashing this whole movement. But he said exactly the opposite in front of a camera. And I just thought that was despicable. To make people do this, I'm saying it again, just take it out of sports. It's not a place for it. It's not a place for politics, especially of this kind of immature thing that we got going on right here.
Well, and the reason I think it's too bad is because it is such an American pastime, these sports, and that's why the national anthem is being played, and it represents the spirit of America. And by the way, in sporting events all around the world, they play their own national anthem. So it's a tradition that these people have ruined. They think that they're not disrespecting America by protesting and kneeling down. They're absolutely doing that, no matter what anybody says. That's the way the fans are taking it, and they're ruining they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing this.
Agreed.
They totally are. Okay, a couple other things. One is that
we got to wind up, so hope it's not too heavy.
Oh, okay. They are. And let me just say, so Barr's coming out with some more information regarding the Russian investigation that should be coming out today. That's going to be interesting. But I say, hurry up with it already. If you've got stuff out there that America needs to hear, what are you waiting for? It's time. Let's hear what you got here.
Probably, I'm just guessing. Probably waiting to get closer to the election. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close, but I agree. What is it? The day before?
Right. Well, I think a whole lot of different news is going to come up. They've been sleeping on the whole Hunter Biden thing for a long time.
That's what I'm talking about. This is what Barr's been investigating. It's got everything to do with the Russian collusion and Ukraine and all that kind of stuff. So come on, let's start getting some information out here. But anyhow.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to tell you.
Yeah.
So just the other night, I was on Amazon, I think it was Prime, and I found the movie. Like when I read it like, oh, that rings a bell. Peanut Butter Falcon.
I heard about this.
No,
Wrestler?
because you told me about it on the podcast.
Yeah. Okay,
you highly
right.
recommended
I haven't seen it yet. It was somebody
Yes, you
recommended it to
did?
me. No,
Oh,
I didn't actually see
really?
it. Yeah.
Oh,
After I told you about it, I totally forgot about it.
okay, because I thought you told me all about it.
I did, and it was because of this woman that I met in a bakery who told me how great this movie was.
The reviews are fantastic.
I hadn't even heard about it.
I'm going to tell you, I categorize movies like this. Is it a Saturday night movie or is it a Sunday morning movie? Those are it's a Sunday morning movie. It may be
what you mean.
Rainy day Sunday morning movie. Okay. It's like a Huck Finn tale. And it's the star, Shia LaBeouf. He used to get a lot of flack for being weird or something a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was good. He was very good. And the co-star of this is a young man with Down syndrome.
Yes.
And he does a great job as well. And it's all about this journey that they go on together, which that part is so cool because it takes place in North Carolina, Outer Banks. It's all outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
They're on a raft going down the river for a lot of it. And all these adventures happen. You're outside with them and, camping out at night as they're trying to get to this destination because the kid, I say kid, he's a young man, with the Down syndrome wants to become a professional wrestler.
Right.
And there's a wrestling camp down. That's their destination.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's all about that. And then the romantic lead in it is Dakota Johnson. Is it Jackson? Dakota
Johnson. Don Johnson's daughter.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. She's good.
She's met her. I was camping, not camping. I was hiking with Anne Marie, and we ran into her in the woods actually.
Really?
And I said hi. I like your hat, and she goes, "Oh, thank you." And then walked away. Anne Marie was, "That's Dakota Johnson. Did you know that?" And I'm like,
I wouldn't have known her. It's the first time I ever saw her
with somebody with a nice hat on.
But I thought that's funny. But I thought that she came off as very likable. I would watch her in something else. I would like to watch her in something else. I didn't think that they had very believable chemistry. I thought that the romantic connection that they developed didn't have enough development at all. It was just like, oh, okay, so I guess they're going to get together at the end and all become a big happy family or something. But at the end, the end was incredibly unbelievable compared to the real reality of the rest. So I'm saying I think that you should go into it with lowered expectations and you'll really like it. Because I had super high expectations and I was a little disappointed.
Gotcha.
It's a very feel-good movie, and it's fun because you go on this adventure outside on the Outer Banks the whole way.
That is cool. I love that. This is still a time where, like we've talked about, I've watched more movies during this time than I've ever watched in my life, and it's been kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and we've mentioned before that we're spending more quality time with our families and stuff. And I think that's a bad thing for a lot of people. Oh, you know what? Along those lines, so my poor Airbnbers or renters, they're not Airbnb. My renters are going back to New York, Brooklyn, to a one-bedroom apartment, and I've been seeing some headlines where New York is just not doing well.
Sounds oppressive, right? Well, I mean, De Blasio has really ruined that entire town.
Yeah,
and what a dislikable guy.
Yeah, and getting more so by the day.
Yeah, he doesn't. I would hate it if that guy were my next door neighbor.
Yeah, or my mayor.
Oh, well, just how horrible.
He better brush up his resume. I don't think that he's going to be getting reelected.
I think he's going to have to change his identity.
Agreed. We got to wrap up, but I want to say, everybody, please like and share our video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if that's your platform of choice, or just go to over50startingover.com and you could subscribe to your podcast of choice or anything else. And like us on Facebook. You could do that from our website as well. Merle, great talking to you, man.
And you too, Barry.
Yeah, I love you, brother. Talk to you next week.
You too.